Today I am here with an old Mason and Hamlin A. Now what's interesting about this piano, there's actually several things that are interesting about it, but one thing that's interesting is there's no stamp over here that has a Mason and Hamlin name. Usually in this area of the harp they would have like their model up here and then the serial number here, but that is not here. And so I'm not sure where else it would be on the piano. I'm not seeing it anywhere. I'm looking around right now because as I'm saying that, I'm like, where else is it? And so I'm not really sure where else it is, but what is kind of cool is there's little stamps here talking about the various patent dates that they have received in 1917 and 1900 and all kinds of stuff like that. And there's all kinds of more stuff like that up here. We've got, it's kind of hard to read, Centripetal tension resonator, patented February 28th, 1905, and also duplex scale and capo di astro bar. And there's a Mason and Hamlin badge. As you can see by the design of the harp, it's a very old piano. We have these little nubs, are kind of like rounded cones. They look like the tip of a bullet, actually, around the portholes in the harp, and they're around every porthole. And this was very popular in the early 1900s, 1910, 20, 1930, all that era. And so that kind of gives an idea of how old the piano is. And also, if you look at the soundboard of the piano, you can see that it is a dark color, and that this actually indicates that this is the original soundboard that would have come with the piano when it was brand new from, let's just say, maybe 1920 or 1930. And that would also be the original badge in the middle of the soundboard as well, which is really cool. And now what's interesting about this piano is that the soundboard is one of, and as well as the harp, are one of the few things that are actually original with this piano. It has had all new strings, new action from the looks of it, and possibly new dampers. I'm not sure. The damper felt most certainly is new, and they probably would have left the original dampers. What's interesting about those is if you look at them, they're actually brown. They didn't paint them black. They actually just left them the brown wood color. I'm not sure what type of wood that is, but it's a really cool look, and I've never seen anything like that before. I know Mason and Hamlin, not at this era, I don't think, but today Mason and Hamlin will put rosewood-sided black keys on the piano. So for the sharps, instead of being all black, they'll have rosewood here and then a little ebony cap on top, and it's a very unique look that I think only Mason and Hamlin does. So as you can see, this is a very small piano as well. I believe this is the Model A, even though there is no little stamp here in the corner, because I believe the A is the smallest size that Mason and Hamlin makes. So now let's hear what this piano sounds like. I'm going to play a calm little chord progression here, because I think this piano sounds pretty good when I do that on it. And then maybe I'll also do another song that helps test out the treble as well as the tenor. So let's hear the little chord progression first. The piano has really excellent sustain, and even though it's a smaller piano, the bass isn't really all that bad when you play it quietly. In fact, it's very mellow and it blends well with the rest of the piano. I'm sure if I played it more loud, it would kind of have that smaller piano sound to it. But for such a small piano, I mean, you look at the piano and it's absolutely tiny. The bass is really surprisingly pretty full. Now let's test out what the treble sounds like, and I have high expectations because I've played Mason and Hamlin's before from this era, and they have excellent trebles. So let's test this out. The treble on this piano is really bright and sparkly, and it would definitely compete very well with the bass if you were playing a loud and fast and crazy song like that, because you want the treble on the piano to be bright so that it can compete with the bass, and this piano would do an excellent job at that. The sustain on it seems to be very good as well. what you look for on a piano is a sustain that when you first hit it, it's nice and bright, and then it gradually just gently decays off into silence, and that's what this piano does, and that's a very good sign to see. Now, the interesting thing about Mason and Hamlin pianos, for those of you who do not know, is they have a very special device underneath the piano known as a tension resonator, and that's what this text over here on the harp is talking about, the centripetal tension resonator. Right here it says centripetal tension resonator, and that's exactly what it's talking about. So let me go under the piano and show you what the tension resonator is, because it's why these Mason and Hamlin pianos can last such a very long time. So this is the underside of the Mason and Hamlin piano, and as you can see, this round disc here is actually the tension resonator. Now what this helps do is there are these beams that go out into the very edges of the piano that help hold it in place, and that's what this tension resonator does. As you can see, there are threads here with a little wrench thing that you could use to adjust, and these are adjusted at the factory and then never touched again. And you're not supposed to mess with the settings for the tension resonator because it helps hold the piano in shape. And what's interesting is there's a sticker on the inside of the piano that says that it's spent some time in Virginia at some sort of a piano store. And soundboards in that area typically don't last all that long because of the humidity and whatnot, but the tension resonator has helped keep this piano in excellent shape. And since I'm under at the piano, if you look at the soundboard here, you can see no shims or any signs of cracks or anything like that. The tension resonator has done a really great job at keeping the soundboard intact, so much so that when the rebuilders went to rebuild this piano and refinish the piano, they decided to leave the soundboard in because it was just in such perfect shape.